The Chicago Cubs, ironically enough, found a way at the 11th hour to put together some, scrounging together some couch change. Apparently, after all their biblical losses over the last 2 years, that basically cost us the 2021 season. They actually found a way to pay Marcus Stroman,
I don't know how they did it.
one of the top free agent pitchers out there. 3-year deal, $71 million. I believe he's being paid 25 over the first 2 years and 21 in the third year. He has I believe there's no trade clause, but he does have there's an option for the third year. And I'm not sure if that's his option or the team option, but it was kind of shocking because up until that moment, you saw lots of action. The Cubs were on the sideline for all that, and I've always argued they've been acting like a small market team for 2 years when they are anything but. They are they're the third largest team. They should be spending amongst the giants of not the San Francisco Giants, the big teams, the big spending teams, and they have chosen not to. But finally, they have a pretty. It's actually a mid-level signing. $71 million is not a crazy amount of money considering the other contracts we've seen. I think it's really smart money, though. If you look at Stroman's numbers, he's last year had basically a 3.02 ERA. Over this last 10 years, or let's see, since 2014, he has the fourth lowest home run rate and the second highest ground ball rate, which is going to work rather well, I'd say, in Wrigley Field. He's also a cool dude. I don't know if you've heard many interviews with him. He's very insightful, a thoughtful dude. You can when he gets interviewed, you can tell he listens to the question. He doesn't just give standard sports player cliches when he's asked interesting questions, at least. So I've appreciated that. He is a former Lansing Lugnut, as I'm sitting here in Lansing, Michigan. So I appreciate that. He actually just did a rehab stint one time when he was with Toronto, and they were still a Blue Jays affiliate, but I had to tie that in there. So it's another reason I like him. He's number 0, which I always think is cool. Stroman with a 0 in the middle. I like it. What the Cubs have done, besides the picking up or basically claiming Wade Miley off waivers from the Reds, they're starting to get an interesting rotation. Certainly not a prototypical power arm, flame-throwing rotation, but with Kyle Hendricks, Wade Miley, and Marcus Stroman, I think you have the beginnings of what could be an interesting rotation. Clearly, there's a lot more work the Cubs need to do, and I'm not sure they're going to be willing to do that right after this lockout. If they're going to spread that out over a couple years, where I'm not sure they'll be contending in 2022, if there is a season. I have a feeling they're looking more towards 2023, but there's a foundation there that I like. So I don't know if you had thoughts about Stroman or that.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at his numbers, he's definitely destined to stay in the National League because his numbers are at least a half a run better since he's been in the National League than in the American League. So good signing by the Cubs. I think the only question mark on Stroman is there's, talk from time to time that he's not a great clubhouse guy because of his sharing of opinions. So that we'll just see how that plays out. But I think teams can work around that. I mean, the dollars are perfect.
I will put a pin in that. I want to talk about the not a good clubhouse guy or the clubhouse cancer, because I'm going to bring that up in a bit, but remind me of that.
Okay.
When we get to the Tigers, but go ahead.
Oh yeah. So I mean, I was like, dang, great. Immediately when I saw it, I thought great signing. That was my initial reaction. And I'm sticking with that. Like I said, jury's out. Every clubhouse is different. Like a great example is what's his Nick Swisher was despised in the White Sox clubhouse, but the Yankees didn't care.
Right.
He was fine when he was with the Yankees. He didn't come over from the A's with a a clubhouse cancer moniker on him either. I don't believe so. Like it's just you get a bunch of people in a room. Not everyone's going to get along, but it's a matter of like, are they truly affecting how the team plays? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I think a lot of that is overstated.
Yeah, exactly. So I jury's out on that. We'll just see how it plays out. But as far as I'm concerned, that was a good signing. Again, a smart signing for if you got some of the bigger names off the table before the big dogs get back in the race again. Because
Mhm.
that was the thing about why this. I do believe part of the what you were saying from John Boy, that there was a bit of a look at all this money we spent. The players are greedy type of thing that the baseball wanted to get out there, but also, like, if you thought Stroman was going to be courted by the Yankees or the Red Sox or any of those teams, you needed to go in, and it was smart to get him now before
Yeah.
those guys get back in the game. Once all the financials are spelled out from this thing.
Well,
So
I think both sides realized it needed to happen quickly. I mean, Jed Hoyer's talked about he wants to spend money intelligently, and I feel like that was done. But I feel like he was kind of pressed into it by this artificial deadline, and because it was, I think it was literally the last free agent signing before the lockout. It was late Wednesday night before we got the news, maybe an hour before, 2 hours before.
yeah, it was very late into the. I mean, he technically would have had until midnight that night or
Yeah,
11:59, but it was done in the evening, like
the
7, I think around 7 o'clock here or something like
the
that.
the story goes that Stroman had to rush to L.A. airport where he lives to get to Chicago to sign the deal in time, and he barely made his flight to get to Chicago. And if he had missed that flight, the deal wouldn't have happened. So that's kind of amazing. I'm surprised that stuff couldn't be done virtually
Yeah, I
as
know.
the world has, but apparently not.
DocuSign? I don't
That's
know.
actually a part of why there's so much. Yeah, I've signed documents. I mean, it seems like it works. I
So weird.
sold a condo from 250 miles away. It seems like it could work, but
Yeah, whatever.
that's minor money compared to $71 million. Maybe things do need to be done in person, but I don't know. Um, Lost my train of thought again, but it just seems like I know what I was going to say. That's part of why there were so many deals done on Monday. Uh, that people realize, well, you've got to have physicals done. That's probably why it was a physical. He probably had to have a doctor. The Cubs had to have
Yeah.
doctors look at him before he signed anything. But that's why so much was happening on Monday and Tuesday and less as we got closer to the deadline, because the teams and players had to get those I's dotted and T's crossed in advance, because literally it just takes time to get those things done. So, but I think that speaks to I think Jed was a little panicky, and maybe Stroman was a little panicky that nothing had been done, that they didn't have a deal until that. So that maybe is why things happened so late. A lot of pitchers had been signed. I think there was a total of 19 pitchers signed in November. Stroman had not, and they wanted to get that done before this landscape changes radically. So it works out for both sides. I have seen at least one pundit, and neither of us really like Keith Law very much, but he thinks that Stroman is the best pitcher on the market this year, and the Cubs got him for a reasonable amount. 3 years is very reasonable. 71 million. This is essentially a 24 million a year and average value deal, which is not breaking the bank by any means. But the funny thing is, this only brings the Cubs payroll up to, I believe for 2022 they're on the hook for 114 million. So, which is a paltry amount for a large market team that should be a big spender, that had over time been bumping up against the $200 million luxury tax mark. So I think this means there's more room once the lockout is over and the second free agent frenzy happens, however that works. Cubs still have room to maneuver if they want to, as there are still a few big fucking names out there.
There's more than a few big names out there.
Yeah, so maybe we'll break that down over the maybe this show, but also in subsequent shows to see what's still out there, because that's going to be fun to dream about where those players could go. But the Cubs should be in the mix for all of that, and if they're not, then they're negligent. But this is at least a good sign for Cubs fans that the Cubs aren't completely setting this out. They are spending their money intelligently, at least in my opinion. I like it.
Word Hole Media.